Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract success, wealth, and opportunities with almost no effort, while others struggle for years and see no change? Maybe it feels like luck, or maybe it's something deeper, something hidden in plain sight. What if I told you that your entire reality, every relationship, every outcome, every dollar in your bank account has been shaped not by what you've done, but by what you've thought? Your thoughts are not just fleeting sparks in your mind, they are seeds. And whether you realize it or not, those seeds are constantly growing into the life you're experiencing right now. Neville Goddard knew this long before words like manifestation and mindset went viral. Neville was quieted, changing lives with a secret most people still don't fully understand. He taught that imagination, pure, focused imagination, was the most powerful force we have, not just to dream, but to create. Neville wasn't a motivational speaker in the traditional sense. He wasn't selling hype. He didn't teach hustle. He taught something far more radical, that the world around you is a mirror, and what you see in it is a reflection of what you consistently hold within. But here's the twist. It's not about wishing. It's not even about working hard. It's about thinking correctly. That's the part most people miss. And when you get it wrong, when you entertain doubt, fear, or limitation, those thoughts become your reality too. In this video, you'll learn what Neville Goddard really meant when he said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." You'll learn how to think in a way that pulls wealth, success, and joy toward you naturally. You'll discover the truth behind some of his most misunderstood teachings. Teachings that aren't just inspirational, they're instructional. You'll hear how a simple shift in awareness can turn failure into fortune. How one man visualized a future promotion every night and got it within weeks, even when others told him it was impossible. You'll understand why Neville insisted that we live from the end, not toward it, and how this single change in mindset flips your entire world upside down. We'll go deeper than surface level quotes. We'll explore real examples of how people used Neville's methods to change their lives. You'll find out how a struggling actor applied these ideas in secret and later credited his success to techniques most people still ignore. You'll see how ordinary people quietly used imagination and assumption to transform their lives, with no special tools or background. And you'll hear about the quiet power of inner conversations, how the words you whisper to yourself become the architecture of your future. Neville taught that these mental dialogues are more powerful than anything you say out loud. Still watching? That's because something inside you already knows the truth. Somewhere deep down, you felt it, that your life could be different, that maybe you're more powerful than you've been told, that the gap between your dreams and your reality isn't time, it's thought. In the next few minutes, we're going to break this all down. We'll explore the real reason why your current thinking patterns might be blocking your blessings. We'll talk about how to rewire those patterns using Neville's most effective techniques. Not just theory, practice, application, results. This isn't about magic. This is about mechanics. The mechanics of consciousness. Neville wasn't teaching fantasy. He was revealing the invisible laws that govern reality. Laws that are always working, whether you believe in them or not. So if you've been searching for answers, if you're tired of trying everything and getting nowhere, this message is your turning point. Because the truth is, you're not stuck. You're not unlucky. You're not late. You've just been thinking in a way that creates what you don't want. And once you learn how to reverse that, things begin to shift faster than you can imagine. The question is, are you ready? By the end of this video, you'll know how to direct your thoughts to create wealth, peace, and success. You'll learn the real steps to thinking correctly, so correctly that your outer world has no choice but to match it. And more than anything, you'll walk away with a new lens, a way to see yourself not as a victim of life, but as its quiet architect. This is not a video you want to skip or click away from. The truth we're about to explore has changed lives quietly, powerfully, and permanently. And if you stay with us until the end, it might just change yours too. Welcome to Ignis Mindset, where we turn understanding into transformation. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel. You're not here by accident. Something brought you to this video for a reason. Now let's begin. Before we talk about the power to change your life, we need to understand something deeper, something most people never realize. Neville Goddard said it plainly. Consciousness is the only reality. That's not just a poetic phrase, it's the foundation of everything he taught. And once you understand it, your entire world begins to make sense. Think about it like this. Everything you see, every event, every person you meet, even your current life situation, all of it is an outpicturing of your inner state. It's not random. It's not caused by luck. It's not controlled by others. It is a mirror, a perfect silent reflection of what you assume to be true inside your own mind. If your consciousness is filled with thoughts of lack, then lack will show up around you. If your thoughts are shaped by fear, then fear will take shape in your world. But if you shift your consciousness, if you truly change how you feel, think, and believe, then the world around you must change too. It sounds simple, but this idea is revolutionary because it puts the power back in your hands. You are no longer a victim of outside events. You are no longer waiting for things to happen. You realize that the source of everything is already within you. Neville was clear. There is no outside cause. The cause is always consciousness, your consciousness. So what does that mean in practice? It means if you want to change your life, you don't need to start with your job or your bank account or your relationships. You start with you, with the inner man, with the invisible state of being that you carry every single day. This is not about forcing things to happen. It's about entering a new state of mind where the outcome you desire already exists and staying there no matter what the current world is showing you. Before we talk about how to make that shift, we need to understand another powerful idea Neville taught, the law of assumption. This law is simple, but most people never use it correctly. It says whatever you assume to be true becomes your reality, not what you wish, not what you hope, not what you say once in a while, but what you truly and consistently assume. So if you assume you are poor, even when you want to be rich, poverty will stay. If you assume people don't respect you, you'll find situations that confirm that belief over and over again. But if you assume that you're successful, that you're valuable, that you're secure and you feel it deeply, then that assumption begins to take form. Neville called this assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That's the key. Not just thinking about it, not just writing it down, but feeling it. What would it feel like to already have what you want? To already be where you want to be? Can you go there in your mind and stay there? Most people wait for the outer world to give them permission to feel good. But Neville said that's backward. You must feel it first. You must live from the end, not toward it. This is where people get stuck. They say, but I can't feel wealthy when my bills are due. I can't feel loved when I'm alone. I can't feel powerful when I feel tired and discouraged. But the truth is, that's exactly when you must assume it most. The outer world has no power. The inner world creates the outer. And once you shift your inner assumptions, the outer world must follow. It has no choice. This is not positive thinking. It's not about pretending or ignoring reality. It's about creating a new reality from within and trusting the process. Neville gave powerful examples of this. He talked about a man who wanted a better job. Every night before sleep, he imagined shaking hands with a boss, congratulating him. He imagined the smell of the office, the feeling of the promotion. He didn't beg for it. He didn't wonder when it would happen. He assumed it was done. And in just a few weeks, it was. That's the power of assumption. It bypasses logic. It doesn't care about how. It doesn't care about timing. It responds only to the depth and persistence of your inner feeling. And here's the part most people don't know. You're already using the law of assumption every day. You're already assuming things all the time. You assume people think certain things about you. You assume things will be hard. You assume you'll be treated a certain way. And the world reflects it. It reflects your assumptions, whether you're conscious of them or not. The secret is to become aware of what you've been assuming and then replace it, not with hope, but with a new assumption, one that is in harmony with what you want. Let's say you want financial freedom. Don't just say, I want money. Assume the state of being financially free. What would it feel like to have more than enough? Not someday now. Can you walk in that state mentally? Can you carry that inner knowing with you throughout the day? And when doubts come, and they will, you simply return to your assumption. You persist in it. Because Neville said, persistence in a state will cause its externalization. He also taught that the world is yourself pushed out, which means if you change you, the world around you must change. This is not theory, it's law, but it requires discipline, not struggle, but attention. You have to notice when your thoughts are slipping into the old self, into the person who doesn't have what they want, into worry, lack, and fear, and then gently but firmly return to the new state, the new self, the one who already is what they used to want to be. This is the art of living from the end, and it is the path to true transformation. Neville didn't say this would be easy, but he said it would be certain. If you persist in your assumption, the outer world will conform, sometimes gradually, sometimes suddenly, but it will happen. Because consciousness is the only reality, and the law of assumption is how we use that reality. So before we move forward, ask yourself, what have I been assuming? What thoughts have I been repeating in silence? And what would happen if I changed them? Not just for a few minutes, but every day, with feeling, with belief, with persistence. Because when your assumption becomes natural, your reality will begin to shift in ways you can't yet explain. Imagination is not just a tool for artists or dreamers. Neville Goddard revealed that imagination is the very force that shapes our world. Everything you see around you was once imagined by someone. Every building, every invention, every change in society began as an idea, first unseen, then made real. To Neville, imagination wasn't a passive daydream. It was power, a living active force that creates reality. He taught that imagination is the divine power within each of us, placed there not for fantasy, but for creation. It is not something external that you need to find. It's already inside you, quietly waiting for your attention. Most people use imagination unconsciously. They imagine what they fear. They picture what might go wrong. They replay painful memories. And without realizing it, they give energy to those images. Their world begins to match what they've been imagining all along. But Neville urged us to take control of this force, to use it consciously. He said, man is all imagination. Therefore, man must be wherever he is in imagination. In other words, you are not where your body is, you are where your imagination places you. That's where your life is moving. That's what you're creating. Let's say you want to experience success. You could try to work harder, push more, do more, or you could pause, close your eyes, and see yourself successful. Not in a distant future, but now. Imagine yourself in the place you want to be. Hear the sounds, see the details, touch the surfaces, smell the air, let the picture become real inside your mind. Neville called this the imaginal act. A simple scene that implies your desire is fulfilled. You repeat it with feeling, especially just before sleep, not hoping it will happen, but knowing that it already has inside the world of imagination. And that's where the next key comes in. Imagination alone is not enough. The image must be charged with emotion. It must be alive with feeling. Neville said, feeling is the secret. Not words, not effort, feeling. The emotion you carry is what gives power to the image. It's the difference between a flat thought and a living reality. Think of emotion as the fuel that drives imagination into form. If your image is clear, but your feeling is weak, it fades. But if your feeling is strong, if you feel joy, confidence, peace, gratitude, it brings the image into life. You don't just see the scene, you feel the scene. You enter into the state where your desire is already true. That's what makes the inner world stronger than the outer world. Someone may say, but how can I feel something that hasn't happened yet? Neville's answer was clear. You must feel it as if it's already true, because in imagination, it is true. The outer world is just catching up. This is not pretending. It's not lying to yourself. It's choosing to dwell in the state that aligns with your desire rather than the state that reflects your fears. Let's say you imagine being financially free. Don't just picture money, picture your life. Imagine walking into a store and buying what you need with ease. Imagine checking your account and feeling calm. Imagine helping someone you love without worry, and feel what that feels like. Relief, freedom, joy. Let those feelings rise. Let them stay. Neville taught that this feeling must become your home, not a temporary escape, but the new atmosphere you live in. Moment by moment, you may not see results instantly, but the feeling creates the pattern. The feeling attracts the form. The feeling draws the world to you in ways the rational mind cannot understand. This is why so many people fail at manifestation. They say affirmations, but their feelings remain the same. They imagine, but they don't feel their new state. They don't persist in it. They return to their old emotions, and the world reflects those instead. But when you marry imagination with feeling, something powerful happens. Your inner world becomes more real than what you see, and slowly the outer world begins to shift. Events align, people show up, opportunities unfold, not by chance, but by law. Neville also emphasized repetition. The more you return to your desired state, the more natural it becomes. What feels strange at first becomes normal, and what feels normal becomes your experience. It's like planting a seed. You water it with attention, you feed it with feeling, you protect it from doubt, and in time it grows. Your imagination is the soil, your feeling is the water. Together they bring forth fruit. Many people ask, how long does it take? Neville said, don't worry about time. Focus on dwelling in the state. That's your job. The when and how are not yours to control. Stay loyal to the image. Stay faithful to the feeling. Even when nothing seems to change. Even when doubt creeps in. Because the seed is already planted. Your only task is to persist. Neville's own life proved this. He imagined traveling, and though he had no money, the opportunity came. He imagined helping others, and people came to hear his words. He didn't force the path. He lived in the end, and the path revealed itself. You can do the same. Whatever your desire, peace, love, success, healing, it begins within. Not with effort, not with struggle, but with a clear image and a deep feeling. And once you learn this art, you'll realize something beautiful. You are not stuck. You are not limited. You are not waiting on the world to change. You are creating the world through the images you hold and the emotions you feel. Every moment is a chance to imagine something better. Every moment is a chance to feel something higher. And every moment is creating your future. Thinking beyond the physical is not about ignoring the world. It's about seeing deeper into it. Neville Goddard called this way of seeing thinking fourth dimensionally. It means you stop living only by what your senses tell you. You stop reacting to what's in front of you. And instead, you begin to respond to what you know within. The third dimension is everything you can see, touch, and measure. But it's slow. It's always behind. It's just the final print of a picture that was already developed in the unseen. The fourth dimension, according to Neville, is imagination. It's where creation begins. It's the unseen place where your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings live. This dimension is faster, more powerful. It's the true source of what later becomes physical. So when Neville tells you to live from the end, he's not asking you to pretend. He's guiding you to dwell in the fourth dimensional version of your life, where your desire is already fulfilled. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now, in your mind, in your heart, in your inner world, it has already happened. Imagine a person who wants to be healthy. If they think third dimensionally, they see only sickness. They notice pain. They react to symptoms. They say, I hope to get better. But if they think fourth dimensionally, they close their eyes and see themselves already healed. They feel strong, peaceful, full of life. They stop waiting for a result. They begin to live as if they are already free. That shift changes everything. Neville believed that once you occupy the state of the wish fulfilled, reality has no choice but to follow. He said, to be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. But your thoughts cannot change unless you have new ideas. For you think from your ideas. This is why living from the end is so powerful. It plants new ideas at the center of your being. This is not something you try once. It becomes a habit, a way of walking through the world. When something unwanted shows up, you don't panic. You don't fight it. You return to the fourth dimensional version of yourself, the version that has already moved beyond the problem. You feel your way into that state, and you let the world adjust. This brings us to another truth Neville taught, one that many resist at first. He said, there is no one to change but self. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things for people to accept. We've been taught to blame, to fix the outside, to wait for others. But all lasting change begins within. Think about it. If you believe someone is against you, that belief shapes how you see them. You become defensive. You expect conflict. You give off energy that creates tension. And sure enough, they respond with the same. But if you change the concept of that person within your mind, if you see them as kind, helpful, supportive, you will begin to act differently. And they too will start to reflect your new image. Neville didn't say this was philosophy. He said it was law. The outer world is a mirror. It reflects your dominant inner state. It cannot resist you. It has no life of its own. It follows your inner direction. So when you try to change your life by changing your job, your partner, your home, without changing your inner state, you're just moving the pieces. The pattern stays the same. The same problems return. The same feelings arise because the root has not been touched. This is why Neville taught that self-transformation is the only real work. You don't need to beg life to give you more. You don't need to chase success. You don't even need to struggle to remove what you don't like. All you need is to revise the inner self, change the assumption, change the emotion, change the idea you hold about yourself and others, and then let that new state guide your life. Many people hear this and say, but what about others? They're the problem. Neville would say, no one can be your problem except your own concept of them. If you see them as unfair, they will act unfairly. If you change that concept, even if they stay the same, your experience of them will shift. And sometimes they will shift too, because they are part of your world, and your world flows from you. This is not control, it's alignment. You're not forcing anyone. You're aligning with a higher idea of yourself and them, and the world responds. So if you're waiting for your boss to change, your partner to understand you, your past to be different, stop, turn inward. Begin the change where it really matters. In the silence of your imagination, in the privacy of your thoughts, in the secret conversations you have with yourself. When you revise your self-image, when you see yourself as capable, calm, loved, wise, life begins to reflect that image. The same situations arise, but you move through them with ease. The same people appear, but they treat you differently because you are different. You may not notice the change right away, but if you persist in your new self-concept, it will solidify. And once it becomes dominant, the world must obey. This is why Neville was so confident. He didn't rely on external signs. He relied on the law that says the inner creates the outer, always. So instead of waiting for the world to confirm your worth, confirm it yourself. Instead of asking life to show you love, become loving within. Instead of fearing the future, live from the future you desire. That's fourth dimensional thinking. That's true responsibility. And that's the path to real transformation. The words you say to yourself every day are more powerful than the words anyone else could ever speak to you. Neville Goddard called this your inner conversation, and he taught that these silent talks, repeated over and over, shape your reality more than any external event. You may think your life is being influenced by what others say or by the conditions you face, but the real cause is much closer. It's the quiet story you're telling yourself. That voice inside your mind is always active. It repeats your beliefs, your doubts, your fears, your hopes, and it becomes the blueprint for the life you live. If your inner talk is full of criticism, fear, and limitation, your world reflects those things. You might not notice it at first, but day by day, your experience will start to match that tone. Neville said, your inner conversations are creating your outer world. He meant that literally, think of someone who always tells themselves, I'm not good enough. That one sentence repeated silently creates hesitation, missed chances, strained relationships. It becomes their filter. Every moment is seen through the lens of that belief. They may try to change the world, but nothing will work until the inner talk changes first. Now imagine changing that inner voice. What if instead of saying, I can't, you began to say, I'm able? What if instead of thinking I'm unlucky, you affirmed, everything is working in my favor? It may feel strange at first, but over time, those words plant new roots. They grow, they build a new identity, and that identity becomes a new experience. Neville didn't say you must wait for proof. He said, speak it first, within, feel it as true, even if the outer world still shows the opposite. That's where transformation begins. And if your past keeps echoing through your mind, old mistakes, regrets, painful memories, there is a way to shift that as well. Neville taught a method called revision. It's one of his most powerful techniques. Revision means this. You go back in imagination to a moment that went wrong, a conversation that hurt you, a failure that disappointed you, and you mentally rewrite it. You see it unfold in a new way. You imagine the outcome you wish had happened. You replay the scene, not as it was, but as you now choose it to be. Neville said, change the past and you change the future. He wasn't asking you to deny what happened. He was showing you how to remove its emotional weight. When you revise a memory, you break the chain of negative energy attached to it. You release yourself from carrying that old pattern forward. For example, if you were once rejected and that memory still stings, go back to that moment. See yourself being accepted. Feel the joy, the relief, the confidence. Make that version real in your imagination. Let it soak into your emotions. Then carry that feeling forward. You are not stuck with any past version of yourself. Every scene, every event can be rewritten, not by force, but by imagination. This is not fantasy, it is creation. The past lives in your mind, and the mind can be reshaped. Neville often reminded his listeners that the mind doesn't distinguish between real and imagined experiences, only between felt and unfelt ones. If you feel the revision, it becomes just as real as the original, and soon your present will start to adjust around the new story you've written. But for any of this to work, one thing is required: persistence. The truth is, most people give up too soon. They try a technique once or twice, they look around and say, nothing's changing. And then they go back to the old way of thinking. But Neville taught that persistence in assumption is what brings the result. You must hold to your desired state, not just when it's easy, but when it feels hard. When the world seems to contradict you, when your senses try to pull you back into the old story, that's the moment you must persist. Persistence isn't effort. It's not about struggle or willpower. It's about loyalty. Loyalty to your inner vision. Loyalty to the version of yourself that already has what you desire. You don't chase results. You become the person who lives with the results. This is where faith comes in. Not blind belief, but inner certainty. The kind of faith that says, though I don't see it yet, I know it's mine. You don't need anyone else to agree. You don't need the world to give you a sign. You know within, and that knowing becomes your anchor. Neville once said, faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. You see it in your imagination, you feel it in your heart, and then you remain faithful to it regardless of appearances. Every day your inner world speaks. It tells a story. That story becomes your life. So make it a good one. Speak kindly to yourself. Revise what no longer serves you, and hold fast to your new state until it becomes the only reality you know. This is not theory. It is a practice. It is a path, and anyone who walks it with persistence and faith will see the results unfold, not by chance, not by luck, but by law. Thinking correctly is not a mystery. It's a process, a discipline, a way of life. Neville Goddard did not just speak in theory. He gave clear, practical instructions, simple steps that anyone can follow if they are willing to be consistent. Thinking correctly means thinking from the end, not about the end. It means seeing the result as real before the senses confirm it. And it begins with the most important step, knowing what you truly want. You must define your desire, not vaguely, not halfway, not with doubt, but with precision and certainty. What is it that you really want? Wealth, health, love, success. Choose it. Own it. Do not ask for permission from the world. Decide for yourself. Neville often said, dare to assume. That assumption starts with clarity. Write it down if you must. Make it plain. Without a clear desire, the mind has no direction. Once the desire is defined, the next step is visualization. But not just any kind of visualization. Neville taught that it must be vivid, alive, full of sensory detail. You don't just see an image. You enter the image. You live it in your mind as though it were already true. If you desire a new home, don't imagine the outside. Feel yourself walking through the front door. Smell the air, touch the furniture, hear the sounds. The imagination must be so rich, so convincing, that the mind accepts it as fact. But even more important than the image is the emotion. This is the secret many miss. The image is the shell, the feeling is the life. Neville said, feeling is the secret. So when you visualize your desire, you must also feel the emotion of it already being yours. Not the hope, not the wish, the actual feeling. As if it is already happening. What would it feel like to be successful? Secure, loved, free? Feel it now. Let it fill your chest. Let it warm your body. That emotion impresses the subconscious, and the subconscious shapes your reality. As you move through the day, your inner conversations must match your vision. This is not always easy, but it is essential. You cannot think one thing in silence and expect another to appear in life. If you desire abundance, but your thoughts are full of lack, the results will follow the thought. Neville urged people to listen to themselves. Catch the silent dialogue. Correct it. When you hear yourself say, it's not working, replace it with everything is unfolding perfectly. These small shifts become powerful habits. They align the inner with the outer. Another tool that supports correct thinking is the practice of revision. Life is filled with small events that can derail the mind. A harsh word, a mistake, a missed opportunity. But these do not have to stay as they are. Through revision, you can revisit any moment in imagination and change it, not in the world, but within yourself. Neville said to revise the past is to harmonize it with your ideal. So each night before sleep, scan the day. If anything feels off, imagine it going the way you wish it had. Feel the improved version. Accept it. Let that be your final thought. The more you revise, the more your present begins to change. Because your inner world is no longer carrying the weight of those negative moments. You free yourself. You break old patterns and you give your subconscious new instructions to follow. Yet, none of this works without persistence. That is the final and most important step. To think correctly, you must think consistently. You can't assume one day and doubt the next. You can't visualize with joy, then speak in fear. Persistence means holding the assumption even when nothing has changed, especially then. That is the true test. Can you remain loyal to your desire when the world says otherwise? Neville was clear about this. He said, "It is not what you want that you attract. You attract what you believe to be true. Your belief is built through repetition, through returning again and again to the same state, until it becomes natural, normal, unshakable. This is what persistence creates. And it is what brings desire into form. Correct thinking is not magic. It is not superstition. It is a creative act, a deliberate pattern of mental behavior. And it works not because of luck or chance, but because of law. The law that your inner state creates your outer world. You are not meant to chase the world. You are meant to create from within. Neville's teachings are a guide to that creation, a reminder that your thoughts are not small. They are not meaningless. They are the foundation of everything. You may not have been taught to think this way. You may have been told that change comes from effort, from struggle, from action alone. But Neville offers another way, a higher way, a path where imagination is the tool and feeling is the key, where your assumptions shape your reality and your inner speech becomes your destiny. Every desire you have is valid. Every dream is possible, not because the world will give it to you, but because you can assume it, feel it, and persist in it. This is how you think correctly. This is how you rise above circumstance. And this is how you begin to live, not as a victim of chance, but as the author of your own life.